All right, so I'd like to open the, I guess, March 4th, 2025 meeting of the Lower Stafford Township Board of Supervisors and ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic, one nation under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Thank you. That brings us to our public comment item on our agenda. Is there anyone wishing to be recognized? Seeing no one, we'll move on. Public Works Director, Mr. Jones.
Please. Data on the project, Middle Ridge. Work has restarted on the project. We're actually able to acquire several loads of the large ones.
Nice.
Yeah. Having a little bit of an issue with access in the driveway, just encroaching into the lawn area. We'll work it, try to restore. Where they start sleeping in the driveway. The park drive. There's a couple of trailers there. That's where the important parking is. We get a conversation with them. Modifying. Great, a little bit. The next community center concept plan, we met with Paul Mole of Paradise Debt Associates. Despite the concept plan, some concerns, so he's working on the revision based on this. Have the next draft next week, and then the your review of the continue working on the sidewalk projects in the township, grant projects, the PST grant, which is the traffic adaptive system. Arnold and Sons and Signal Control project was completed with installing the equipment, working with installing the new network switches at this point. Signal Control and Conway are going to be hosting a training in the adaptive system on Tuesday, March 18th in the morning, 3-hour session. If anyone is interested, let me know and respond to them. The fiber optic communication issue that we were having, 13 and 0 and 113.63, that has been repaired. Contractor spliced the fiber and the squirrel nets. That's been taken care of. Oak Drive right turn lane extensions with the DCE grant. It was a $950,000 application, and thanks to efforts of Representative Sheeran, $400,250 towards that project. So Bowman is working on right sizing the project to accommodate the grant funding. So moving forward with that. 2 Green Lake Go applications were submitted. These were for traffic signal modernization projects for Main Street and the Walmart entrance, and also Main Street and Culp Road. So those 2 projects are roughly in the $750,000 cost range, and if we are successful, it would be about $600,000 in grant funds. We should hear sometime this summer. Grace is also working on a Schuylkill Highlands mini grant. This is for to install water fountains, bottle fillers, and dog bowl stations at key locations that connect to our trusts. Yeah. Projects for this grant application. It's a 50-50 match, and these things are not cheap. For $30,000 total cost, we're successful with $15,000, and that will enable us to buy and install three units. So we're looking at like
that includes like the water connection and everything to it.
We'll have to do that.
Okay.
The 30,000 is basically just for materials for the station and the underground valving and things of that nature, everything is critical. For the in addition to concrete pads and making the actual connections and any materials that we would need.
Well, and like the water authority tap, I mean, are we in places where there are existing water lines or? Yeah,
It's to make things easier, is to make the connections in.
right.
Or Heckler, Chuck Reed, Park Avenue Fields, even the community center, if there's an appropriate location there. Anywhere where we've got significant pedestrian traffic towards trails that connect to our parks, I think we can make it part of the so that it will be an attractive grant application. Greg has also been working on a grant application for inclusive play. We used to talk a little bit about that.
Well, some renderings that we have. So as previously mentioned, we're working to kind of mediate inclusive. General Recreation sent us 4 original renditions, and then Joe, Doug, Holly, and I, we were able to kind of pick and choose what we liked and what we didn't like, and kind of piece together a puzzle to come up with this rendition. This will most likely be a multi-grant project. Total came up to 600,000. The DCNR grant will request 250,000. And then will require us to match that, but there's 4 years to complete the project. To support this, and you would just go through like in no particular order. The features include processing, body awareness, and fun and gross motor skills, as well as cognitive and social advancements. So the things that you'll see here, we have various things with bucket seats, various levels of sound and risk within the main structure. That's a lot of learning components. This one right here, the zip cruise, which is kind of the bottom right of the that you see, was just with accessibility for children with varying abilities. And as I mentioned to Kevin earlier, there's 2 lines. So one that the able-bodied child would be able to use, and another with bucket seat that someone with less mobility could use, and they could go simultaneously and play together. In the back corner, I think it would be off to the left here, there's a cozy dome forming area for children who may be overstimulated, so you can see it at that corner there. And we wanted to place that in the corner to kind of make it as a quiet space. You also see sensory panels, music panels. There's the chimes and the drums right back there. And there are symbol communication signs. I wouldn't say it's similar to sign language, but it's for children who may have decreased verbal output and need to find ways to communicate with other children in times of frustration. And all around the entire thing, as there's the pour-in-place rubber surfacing for increased accessibility. And as you can see from this picture, this is kind of how it will match with the existing
Brown area. Just to show the equipment. So they'll be together with.
I need an aerial.
And the parking lot would be on which side?
Below.
Or that-
Below.
Just confirm.
Is the fire truck staying?
Yes,
Okay.
the swing set will be changed to put a new swing set in, which will have both
Okay.
ADA compliant and other.
Is the surfacing, was mulch surfacing out there, is
And
that gonna
that-
stay current? Okay, you'll keep that and then do the poured in place for the other 2 areas. Got it.
trail to that portion, so if children are in a wheelchair, that type of thing, they won't have to go over the ground, it'll go straight from.
able to bring this to the board the last meeting. And we reached out to local fire lead and peaceful living. They weren't able to attend, but they did show support. We kept in the loop, and I'll do what they can to make an attractive grant application. So that's all I have.
Just want to say thanks to Grace and Doug for coming out to the park board meeting. Having their input the other night was very helpful, and we're excited about this opportunity.
I think it's great. I mentioned to Grace, we had some conversations. Last night I spoke with the founder of the Indian Creek Foundation, Mr. Joe Landis, who's a township resident. And it was amazing how he just sent a couple emails to people who he knew in our community who could benefit from this playground. And the responses that we got back were huge, just within a couple hours. Some of them, and I was relaying these to Grace, fit exactly what we see. Plains Mennonite did a similar playground. So what they did though is they asked community members, what kind of things do people who would benefit? Shade, a rubber-sized surface, equipment inclusive for a wide age range, equipment that offers a choice for social interaction or sensory breaks, and a fence to prevent eloping is one of the things that were the most important things. And we can see we have some of that covered. I told this to Grace that, people are excited to help in any way possible. And like Doug said, possibly could sign an encouragement letter for grant purposes, but I think it's a wonderful thing. And we have a lot of community members who are excited about this and are willing to help out in any way they can as well.
Very good.
Do we have any of the rubber surface? Is there anything what to do to maintain that? Is there any special maintenance for that?
Very little, very little.
Is
Once
there-
it goes
okay.
in, it's good for 7 to 10 years, I think.
And the rain just washes it
Yes.
away
Yeah,
and keeps
yeah,
it clean?
great.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
How is that? And I'm sure it's good. I remember our old slides with the heat and all, but I'm guessing the heat, whether,
It's
they're made
it's
to
a
work,
really
right?
great surface. It's like
Is it-
ground up rubber tires below, and then
Yeah.
they use a rubber top surface to keep it waterproof, and it's durable. It's difficult to rip it with a machine.
Yeah. 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It might even be longer than that.
One of the comments too was any kind of musical instruments are good. So it's good to hear that as well. That was another highlight.
We just got all that.
We're working with a company called Just Creation, and they actually have a person on staff who has. What was her title?
I don't remember her name, but she was able to put together an inclusivity report.
Yes,
She's the expert
people that
there.
work with that specifically.
Oh, good.
At Jen Beck.
And we have an opportunity, this is a concept plan.
Yeah.
Cost estimates move forward with the grant application. As we get closer, if there's some tweaking and fine tuning that needs to happen before we go out for bid, for the installation, we'll have more than ample opportunity.
These numbers that we received are very much in line with recent installations in Montgomery Township and Hatfield with similar type of installation.
Terrific. Anything else for Mr. Jones and or Grace?
Got one.
Oh, yeah. We moved on to.
Just an update on the Southwood Quarry. I got an update yesterday from the construction manager, so they're moving along with the project. Their head wall's been drilled and excavated. They're hauling materials currently. And next week they're going to begin the process of stabilizing that head wall, which involves drilling rods into the rock wall so that they can then pin the wire mesh to the poles and the pictures. I have the pictures. So there's a drone which back in January.
Oh, wow. There's a lot of money for that.
Current construction that's happening, so they're done with their fill, and so now they're moving outward. So they get to their head walls. All along that out. And then we can pinning the netting, the wire mesh to that wall. Vertical face. And it's hard to see, it's a picture of the wire mesh. So, moving along. Just some department activities. Nature's been kind of this last few years. It continues. We were able to catch up on salt delivery, so issues there. I'm trying to take advantage of some of the weather, doing some tree trimming, other work, some sign work. We're in the process of addressing some of the defects that we have in the trail system. There are locations where we have tree roots that are pushing up the, the trip hazards. Was brought to my attention back in August of last year by, the project for the facilities manager, ColorCon, so we're moving forward with that right now, we're milling the high spot, just to make them safe, and then with our stump grinder actually settling them, so they stop running. So then, once we get on that process, then we'll move towards, sealing all the defects that can be sealed with the hot roll mapping, and then others that are more standard, we'll cut out and with honest also. So that's that, we've, dismantled, thanks to the efforts of, Supervisor Sherry and his company, we were able to dismantle the playground at the Delaware County Intermediate Unit, so right now that is stored in the lake barn. So at the park board meeting, I presented some concepts and some ideas as to where to repurpose this equipment. So just have some fine tuning to do, and hopefully by the next at the work session in a couple of weeks, I'll have more concrete plans, and then I'll share with everyone.
Actually, it looks like we have pretty much everything that was on that slide up there. So all the, yeah, pretty good stuff, yeah. Yeah. Worked out good.
We're also going to be doing some for stormwater training, municipal staff. That's all that I have. We have any questions?
The only question on the Ruth to, Wawa sidewalk connection there, have we resolved the sidewalk issues with the dentist office? Okay. Is that holding anything up at this point?
Don't believe so.
Okay.
Yes. Trying to determine if we're going to include that portion of the sidewalk or not.
Okay.
As word was awaiting for contractor estimates on that portion, small early portion of the project. So then determination can be made as to how we move forward.
Very good. Anything else? All right, moving right along. Chief Medley.
Yes. Please work session, we started the discussion of orders. Since that would be the first time the trial, which so far, there's no real consensus. Point eight. Day regularity. One of the people says that we do journal for us, have not heard back yet. So in progress, just yet.
Appreciate you moving on. Thanks.
The other thing, tomorrow night, we're all set for the promotions. Officer, as we typically do, a brief reception, about 6:30 to 7:30. There's going to be a 4 members involved. So everybody's welcome to stop in. Parade over at 7:30 to 7:35. 7:36 depending.
Great, thank you.
Anything else for the chief? Mr. Buki.
Mr. Chairman, so we have things that I'd like to discuss this morning. Let me just start with the quick update on the department. We issued 41 permits in February, which is actually down from 61 last year. I think the town state has collected deep breath and working on the projects that they're
25% tariffs, you're gonna see a little slowdown also.
We do not have a zoning hearing board for March. And I wanted to restart the conversation about small projects in the township that we had about a year ago, I would say. We just haven't refined it and amended the ordinance. So there's staff, the solicitor, and so I'll have more in-depth detail for next month. We have a lot on the agenda for the planning commission for March, we have 426, 430 Main Street at the doctor's office. They are coming in for a building addition, parking and lot consolidation, so lane development there. 310 Covenant Lane is coming back in the church. 130 Christopher Lane is also coming back in for the industrial development there. 841 Main Street, an amended final plan. 440 Hoffman Road, residential subdivision. And 17 Mainland Road for amended final. And continued discussion regarding the PC district amendments and residents. Meeting.
Till midnight.
So we have Rick Mass and Brent Hunberger here to talk about the discussion of waivers regarding 196 Main Street. They received a recommendation for final approval at the last thing.
Morning, gentlemen.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Did we review waivers on?
Yeah, I think we're here to only to talk about one change to the presentation I made about waivers. When we did the survey on this property, a number of the trees were ash trees that were still living. In this intervening time, they've all died on the property. And to add to that, the neighboring property owner, this property, Benner, removed all the ash trees along the common property line. It turns out 9 of them were actually on Brian's property and were originally counted as to be preserved. So I think technically I could probably argue it's not a waiver because the tree replacement calculations are for trees destroyed by development, but puts us in an awkward position because we had all those trees shown on our plan.
We have to write it as a waiver. It is.
What's that?
You have to write it as a waiver. It is a waiver.
Well, that's my point. I am requesting the waiver because I think since we're mid-process, that's probably the best way to handle it. But these ash trees were all dead. They were removed by the neighbor. And I just highlighted them. The ones with the darker circle around are the 9 the neighbor took down. There's 3 additional ash trees on our property that are dead as well. So the basis of the waiver is to recalculate the tree preservation for the trees that are remaining and living on the property, and we'll provide all the replacement trees that are required. And also provide 1 replacement tree for each of the 12 ash trees that were either removed by the neighbor or are dead. So it would be all the tree replacements ordinarily required, plus 1 3-inch shade tree for each of the 12 ash trees. That's the additional waiver.
How is that a waiver though? I mean, it shouldn't just.
I agree, but
If you're doing the replacement,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could argue that you're replacing them. So that's part of the development.
if they were living trees, we'd have to replace caliper for caliper.
Right, I understand.
Right, so. It's just, because we started at one point and we're at a different point, I don't, we had to deal with it, so that's our method.
I have no problem. Yeah. Thank you for replacing them.
Yeah.
Appreciate
We like
that.
trees in the township.
Yeah,
As you know, ash trees are dead all over.
no, I understand. I got
think
several
in
of
the
them.
last
We're
couple
taking
of
them down
years,
all over the park. All over the park.
Every one of them, I think, is gone now.
Yeah, they're going. I had one up to like 2 years ago and it finally picked it dust. I was spraying it and everybody
Well,
can't stop.
In
it.
the last few years, it seems to have been accelerated.
Yeah.
I had to take one down. I got 50 that died on. residential.
Unbelievable.
That's it. Everything else is, as we presented it. Any other questions?
I think so. Okay, any questions for Rick? Want to see him? Going once, going twice. Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Anything else for Mr. Buki? All right, Mr. Jakowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under the manager's report, the first item is the review of the meeting minutes of February 5th. Questions, comments, or changes? No, Kevin, send me a copy of his statement that he made regarding the 196 Main Street preliminary approval, and, no, there are no objections, I will add that to the minutes. The next item is the review of tomorrow night's meeting agenda. First item on the agenda is a thank you to State Representative Don Shuren for securing the $350,000 in grant funding for the Freedom Valley Medical Rescue. This will be, and my understanding is very soon, an order is going to be placed for an ambulance using those funds. So it's
Good to hear.
turning into a very rapid response, and it's very much needed by the ambulance squad. So
Are you and Dan still meeting with?
yeah, we meet every week.
Perfect.
The next item is the swearing in of the new police officer, David Sangree, and the promotions of Corporal Mismer to sergeant, Officer Condoleezza Corporal, and Sergeant Moyer to deputy chief. Under unfinished business, we have resolution 2025-06, final land development plan approval for 196 Main Street. And 645 Store Road subdivision, discussion of waivers. New business resolution 2025-07, authorized disposition of certain public records. As you recall, this is something we do almost yearly, sometimes more than yearly, depending on
Quantity.
Yeah, quantity. This is for I think this is for, in particular, police records this time, right?
That's correct, and evidence. Yeah. That's it.
Resolution 2025-08, authorizing a grant application to DCNR for the Alder Park inclusive expansion.
Love it.
And that's all I have under the manager's report, but I do need to note that I would like a brief executive session to discuss a matter of real estate and possible litigation
Without the intent to return.
without the intent.
Very good. So with that, if there's nothing else, we will,
I have one more thing. For the record. I noticed, and guys, I'll say we have discussion of waivers for tomorrow night. I just want to say for the record that I'm not a fan of having discussion of waivers in the morning meeting because of my concern that residents may not be able to attend. Obviously, we have our morning meetings, but that's one of the things I just want to put on the record.
Okay.
fair enough. All right, with that, is there anything else? Other than that, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, say nay. Motion carries.